Got to my gym. The 220-pound MMA fighter, Derek Walsh, towered over Sarah Miller at the Atlanta Combat Center. His massive frame blocked her path as she tried to access the training area. Women like you belong in yoga class, not here with the real fighters. The crowd of gym members erupted in laughter as Derek mockingly flexed his muscles. Someone started recording. Sarah stood motionless, her weathered hands steady at her sides. For a brief moment, her sleeve shifted, revealing a faded tattoo, a military insignia, partially visible. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she took a measured breath. They had just humiliated the wrong woman. I wonder where you're watching this story unfold from today. Whatever corner of America you're in, you've probably witnessed someone being underestimated before. Perhaps you're in a bustling city like New York, or a quiet town in the Midwest, or maybe you're viewing from the sunny shores of California. Wherever you are, I'm sure you've seen the look of surprise when someone proves their doubters wrong. But rarely does it happen quite like this. Sarah's background. Sarah Miller had always been a woman of few words. At 38, her slender frame and quiet demeanor often led people to underestimate her. She lived in a modest two-bedroom apartment on the east side of Atlanta, the kind with faded vinyl siding and balconies just big enough for a single chair. It wasn't much, but it was enough for her and the collection of medals and commendations she kept in a plain wooden box at the back of her closet. 8 years had passed since she'd been honorably discharged from the U.S. Army Special Forces, one of the first women to complete their rigorous combat training program. 8 years since she decided to step away from military life and find a quieter path. These days, Sarah worked as a physical therapist at Peachtree Rehabilitation Center, helping athletes and accident victims regain their strength and mobility. Her colleagues respected her knowledge of body mechanics and her gentle but effective approach with patients. What they didn't know was that her understanding came not just from textbooks and training, but from years of intense military preparation. Sarah had made a conscious choice to leave that life behind, to build something new without the pressure and intensity that came with special operations. The unit insignia tattooed on her shoulder remained covered by her clinic scrubs or casual clothing, a private reminder of who she had been. Finding her way. 2 years ago, Sarah's father, James Miller, had passed away after a brief battle with cancer. A former Army Ranger himself, he had been her inspiration, her cheerleader, and her rock throughout her military career. His absence left a void that Sarah struggled to fill. For months after his funeral, she would visit a small private gym on the outskirts of town, working through the hand-to-hand combat drills he had taught her since childhood. It was her form of meditation, of connecting with her father's memory. She kept his dog tags in her gym bag, a tangible link to the man who had taught her that precision and patience were more powerful than brute strength. The idea to try mixed martial arts came from one of her patients, a college wrestler recovering from shoulder injury. You know, he said during a session, with your understanding of body mechanics, you probably pick up MMA really quickly. It might be a good way to process some of that grief you're carrying. Sarah had laughed it off initially, but the suggestion took root. She began watching training videos, practicing basic moves in her living room, slowly building confidence in this new discipline. There was something appealing about the challenge, about proving to herself that she could adapt and grow in civilian life while honoring the skills her father had helped her develop. After months of solo practice, Sarah decided it was time to join a proper gym. Atlanta Combat Center had a solid reputation and offered classes for all skill levels. It wasn't until her third visit that she encountered Derek Walsh, the gym's self-proclaimed star and the owner's nephew, the antagonist. Derek had built a respectable 15-win, 2-loss record in regional competitions and cultivated a following online with his flashy style and uncensored commentary. He was used to being the center of attention, to having newcomers defer to his expertise and established members acknowledge his status. Sarah's quiet focus and quick learning curve had not gone unnoticed, and not in a good way. The morning of their first confrontation, Sarah had arrived early to practice some basic combinations on a heavy bag. She wore simple black leggings and a loose long-sleeved shirt, her brown hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Nothing about her appearance suggested her military background or the years of elite combat training that had shaped her mind and body. She was just another new face in a gym full of aspiring fighters and fitness enthusiasts. Derek and his entourage entered the training area like a small parade, their loud voices and boisterous energy filling the space. Sarah continued her work, focusing on her form and breathing, until Derek deliberately bumped into the bag she was using. "Sorry, didn't see you there," he said with a smirk that suggested otherwise. "We need this area for some actual training." His friends snickered, already forming a semicircle around the interaction. Sarah stepped back, no desire for confrontation clouding her features. "No problem," she said, moving to gather her things. As she reached for her water bottle, Derek grabbed it first. "Nice form for a beginner," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "But this isn't Curves Fitness. We train serious fighters here." He tossed her water bottle across the room, where it clattered against the wall and rolled under a weight rack. More laughter followed as Sarah quietly retrieved it and left the area, feeling the eyes of everyone in the gym following her retreat. The escalation. That first encounter set the tone for what became an escalating pattern of intimidation and exclusion. "He does this to every woman who doesn't fit his idea of what belongs here," explained Melissa, a kickboxing instructor, as they changed in the locker room. "Either you're eye candy for him and his buddies, or you're a target." The warning did little to prepare Sarah for the systematic campaign that followed. In the days and weeks that came, she found herself subjected to a multi-layered gauntlet of humiliation designed to drive her away. It began with the gym members themselves, many of whom took their social cues from Derek. When paired with Sarah for drills, they would either go too easy, treating her like glass, or unnecessarily rough, testing her resolve. In the locker room, she overheard comments about her age, the mom trying to be cool, and her build too skinny for the sport. A group of women who regularly attended the same class would cluster together, leaving Sarah isolated. Even those who seemed sympathetic remained silent witnesses, unwilling to challenge the gym's established hierarchy. "Just quit before it gets worse," one woman advised her quietly. "That's what I almost did. It's not worth the stress." Derek and his inner circle elevated the harassment to an art form. When Sarah signed up for a spot in his advanced techniques class, Derek used her as the demonstration dummy, applying holds with unnecessary force that left bruises on her arms. His friends created practical obstacles, hiding her gear when she set it down, taking equipment she had reserved, deliberately crowding her space during workouts. They nicknamed her Grandma, despite her being only 38, and the name caught on throughout the gym. During circuit training, Derek would assign Sarah impossible variations of exercises, setting her up for public failure. "That's all you've got?" he would ask loudly when she struggled. "Maybe try the senior citizen class next door." No support system. The gym's management, influenced by family ties to Derek, provided no refuge. Sarah's first complaint to the owner, Frank Walsh, was dismissed with a wave of his hand. "That's just how fighters are," he said, not looking up from his inventory spreadsheet. "If you can't handle a little trash talk, this probably isn't the place for you." The front desk staff frequently lost her class reservations, forcing her to either leave or join classes.